Hello and welcome to News Hour Extra with Owen Bennett Jones, broadcasting this week from the Pakistani city of Karachi. 70 years ago, after hundreds of years of British domination, British India was partitioned into two independent nation states, Hindu-majority India and Muslim-majority Pakistan. And as a result, some 12 million people were made refugees, Muslims headed towards Pakistan, Hindus and Sikhs towards India. And I'm now at the Karachi home of the man who led the campaign for Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And we're asking this week, what would he make of Pakistan today? We'll be looking at what Pakistan has achieved, what the country was created for, and has Jinnah's original vision for Pakistan measured up to the reality of the country today? And to help us answer those questions, I'm joined by a panel of senior political figures and observers here in Karachi. We have Javed Jabbar. He's a retired senator, a former Minister of Information in this country. We have Firasat Shah, a writer on Islamic affairs, who says his latest book has just been published in hard copy in Lahore, but he's not yet seen it. It's being posted down. We have Ghazala Shafiq, a Christian scholar and pastor in Karachi, and we're about to be joined any moment now by Reema Abassi, journalist and writer on the shared heritage, amongst other things, the shared heritage of India and Pakistan. So, 70 years. The birthday's coming up. Javed Jabbar, has it been a success?
A partial success, considering the formidable, incredible difficulties with which this state was born at 10 weeks' notice, thanks to Lord Mountbatten. The freak state of the world, divided by 1,000 miles of hostile territory, East Pakistan, West Pakistan. Barely any infrastructure.
Can I just stop you to explain that bit, that when the country was created in 1947, it was in two bits, East and West, and then East Pakistan became, in 1971, Bangladesh. It broke away. But at the beginning, there was this extraordinary situation where you had Indian territory between the two bits of Pakistan.
Absolutely. So we had unprecedented, unrivaled difficulties. So considering from where we started, today I feel pride and humility at the same time in being part of this country. And I'm a Pakistani by choice, because I was born in Madras and my father was from Hyderabad, Deccan. But at a certain point in my early childhood, I had to choose. My parents were divorced, and I chose to become Pakistani. And I have never regretted that.
How old were you then?
A ripe age of 9.5 years.
Okay. Firasat Shah, what's your answer to the question, has Pakistan succeeded over the last 7 decades?
Yes, first let me tell you that I am also sharing the similar background. I was born in Pakistan, but born to parents who migrated from India, Hyderabad, Deccan, in fact, in 48. I would say answer this question in two ways. One is that if I compare myself or my siblings who grew up in Pakistan with lots of opportunities for them, and they secured good positions in their respective fields. But when I see, especially when I lived for 13 years in the US, and I came across a lot of people who came from India. For example, in students, you will find maybe in 200-300 students from other religious background, you will find 1 or 2 Muslims. And I think they have not gotten to the level that what we have achieved by being in Pakistan. So I'm very thankful to my parents for for being here.
So, sorry, you're saying that those who remained in India have done less well?
That's what I think.
Okay, we'll talk about it more, but I think many in India would think that they are safer than you are, that they don't have bombs going off every week.
I think it may be few years back, you can say that, but things have changed both ways. In Pakistan, we have come to a level that threat level is no more there.
And they have Hindutva going off every week.
The otherwise is also going on over there. They cannot slaughter cows and they are being lynched for, small things. That's what is happening. We are hearing every day.
Right, let's ask Ghazala Shafiq. Has Pakistan been a success?
It's good that Pakistan is being known to the world now, and more people are talking about Pakistan, politicians, sports, so everywhere Pakistan making its place.
Are you sure they're talking about Pakistan for the right reasons?
I will say again, my mother was born in Kenya. She has a overseas British passport. But they chose to live in Pakistan. My father had all opportunity to go abroad. But my father was an architect engineer, but he decided never to go out of Pakistan. This is the love of country, and my whole family, my brothers, my mother now, right now they are settled in USA. But I am the only one in Pakistan, and I decided to live in Pakistan. I faced so much persecution, so much difficulties, and I totally disagree with Brother Frasa Shah. He says the people are much better here in Pakistan than in India. Whereas we meet people who go to India, or the Indian peoples, they say the Muslims are much better there in India. But it does not make that we are better here or we are better there. This is our own country. We have the freedom here, and we own this country, and we have to be faithful to this country.
Reema Abassi has fought the Karachi traffic. There was a sort of 70-year traffic jam outside. So thank you for getting here. And what is your answer to this question in very general terms about Pakistan's success over the last 70 years?
Thank you very much for having me. I do have a very uncomfortable relationship with this whole, celebration, and I'm a big fan of Jinnah, of course, and
Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan.
But I'm not sure if I have it with partition, because for me personally, my family was sliced right through, so most of my family is still in India. So when Mr. Shah says that, they're better off, etc., they've had a 2-year wave of, Hindutva and the fringe elements which are targeting, what's on your plate, and the cow there is what blasphemy is here. So it's all about survival of the most privileged. Now, when you talk about prominent Muslims over there, Vice President was, their entire film industry is run by Muslims
in India,
and then in the cricket team, there are fairly, legendary players that have been Muslims.
I think Javed Jabbar would argue that a couple of chief ministers here have been Christians and Hindus.
And non-Muslims here, yeah. And Hindus are very successful business persons in Karachi, right here, in Tharparkar, in rural Sindh, agriculturists, lawyers, businessmen, teachers, citizens, students in a Clifton school. Oh my God, the top 3 students 2 years ago were Hindu students of Karachi.
Yeah, okay, we'll pick up on a lot of these themes in our discussion. Let's just start with this issue of what Pakistan was created for, because many people think that's not really ever been resolved. Was it a country just for Muslims to be safe in? Was it meant to be an Islamic state? Now, I know you've lectured on this, Javed Jabbar, so let's start with you on this. What is Pakistan for?
Pakistan was driven by 2 factors. One, the unwillingness of the Congress Party of India to accept a confederal arrangement, giving each constituent unit the choice of being able to leave the confederation when and if necessary. The Congress Party rejected it. Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Pakistan's founder, wanted the confederation. But when Congress rejected it, he had no choice but to ask for a fully independent Pakistan. And he bitterly opposed the partition of Punjab and Bengal. In May, he addressed a letter to Clement Attlee, the Prime Minister, saying, please don't agree to the partition because I want non-Muslims in Punjab to remain in Pakistan and Hindus in East Pakistan to remain in East Pakistan.
Yeah, but that didn't really make sense, did it? Because his claim was that Muslims and Hindus couldn't live together. That's the two-nation theory.
He never said that they couldn't live together. God forbid. You will never find him ever uttering that word. What he said was that Muslims and Hindus constitute 2 distinct nations which need to respect each other's rights. That's all. There was no animosity, there was no hate ever in Mr. Jinnah's pronouncements or his actions. He married a Parsi woman. His daughter also ended up marrying a Parsi. He was a very, very inclusive, forward-looking person. So he did want to create a state where the Muslim majority felt more secure with their rights and being able to derive their system of governance from the principles of Islam, but not a theocratic Islamic state. That was not part of his vision.
Well, do you agree with that, Firasat Shah, as someone who's written on Islamic matters, sort of been involved with Islamist groups? Do you think, in fact, Pakistan's purpose is to be an Islamic state?
Yes, I feel that way. But the thing is that if we judge Muhammad Ali Jinnah with his actions, what he did after independence of Pakistan, he established a department for Islamic reconstruction, and made a gentleman who was a Polish Muslim who migrated to Pakistan after independence, just looking at this state as being a symbol, something on the mold or type of the state of Medina. So he moved here, and Muhammad Asad is his name, and he was in charge of that department. And then look at his speech that he made when he inaugurated the State Bank of Pakistan. He's telling them to change the financial systems on the basis of Islam. So what he's after, he was just seeking a homeland for Muslims, or he was seeking a system that will be applied in this country.
That's what you believe?
Yeah, that's what I believe.
And do you think it's been achieved in the 70 years?
So first of all, if we say that he did not, then what we are saying is that he's deceived the people, because the people were after him following this slogan, Pakistan ka matlab kya? La ilaha illallah. That was his thing.
Everyone's objecting to
One
what
of
you...
the many slogans. It wasn't the slogan. It was not the slogan. It was one of the many slogans. And today we have highly inflammatory slogans. The whole idea was that he was a very liberal man. I mean, he was pro-religious communities and their freedom and the practice of all religions.
Ghazala Shafiq, you were objecting to what we were just hearing from Firasat Shah there.
Actually, we respect Brother Firasat Shah, but since he is a very religious man and he has all that thoughts and religion in his mind or in his thoughts, but we believe that the Quaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, he never had the vision to see Pakistan after 70 years in such a extremist society, as in such a intolerant people, and with the Christians being targeted. If he had a chance to live longer, Pakistan definitely 100% had a different face on this world. So if you talk about Pakistan, even till 1970, we agree with that Pakistan. After 1970, all these religious elements, all this extremism, all this hatred, all these laws which are not accepted by the majority people of Pakistan. And in 1971, this law was enforced that no non-Muslim can be on a president or any prominent place. So why this law?
You can't have a president who's a non-Muslim here in Pakistan. Javed Jabbar, before we go back to Firasat Shah to defend himself against the charge of having religion on his mind all the time, what do you think of what we're hearing?
You see, I don't see a contradiction between what Mr. Shah has said and I said. I said Mr. Jinnah's vision was that the state derive its guiding principles from the Quran and the message of Islam about social justice, equity, respect for non-Muslims, which is distinct from becoming a theocratic Muslim state such as Iran, where an unelected religious figure can veto an elected parliament. In Pakistan, that has never happened.
Yeah, but Firasat Shah, you think it should happen, right? You would like rule by clerics.
No, that's not. They have their position in the society. They need to be respected. They need to be consulted, but they are not supposed to be the ones that everybody will bow down to their wisdom. We all have to contribute. Oh, if you finish with them.
I just want to say, Owen, that in 9 general elections held in our country's history, not once have religious parties secured more than 10% of the vote, which is an indicator of what the people of Pakistan want. They want a state inspired by Islam, but they do not want a theocratic extremist state.
It's a good point. Firasat Shah, why is the party you support, Jamaat Islami, so unpopular?
Okay. First of all, let me tell you that what sister said, that I am with a big religious inclination. That's why I'm uttering all these things. I am representing 98% of Pakistanis. Why I say that? This is based on the Pew, the survey that they did last year. 72% of the Pakistani population, they said that they want their laws to be written like what was explained in Quran, and another 16% say that in the light of Quranic teachings. Only 2% said we don't need it. So this is one part of it, that I believe that I am representing 98% of Pakistan, where they want to live in.
I want to pick up on that with Reema Abassi. So do you accept that 98% of Pakistanis want Quranic law?
I do not accept that at all, because my people are extremely open-minded and tolerant, and so incredibly resilient that you will find it in very few societies across the globe.
All right, I just want Javed Jabbar to address this point. There wasn't these opinion polls do show this. Huge support for Sharia law.
Let me address this. You see, when you ask such a loaded question, no Pakistani will dare to, because that would be tantamount to rejecting the very source of his faith. What Pakistanis, I think, mean by that answer is that the principles of the Quran should be the inspiration for lawmaking. Because
That's 16%.
let me point out, with respect, I read the Quran every day, Owen. I'm such a bad Muslim, but I read the Quran every day. The Quran lays down principles. It is not a comprehensive source of laws for the state. Laws have to be made by human beings. And the Quran asks Muslims to conduct ijtihad, which is the application of new knowledge, scientific knowledge, to how to remain good Muslims or make a better society. We have historically abandoned ijtihad and adopted with rigid mindsets interpretations made 1,000 years ago and say we treat them as sacred. We need to change that. Ironically, in Iran, you find much greater ijtihad than in most other Muslim countries. So, ijtihad is what drove the poet philosopher of Pakistan, Allama Iqbal. Back in 1919, he said the reconstruction of religious thought in Islam. And you know what he said? He said, all that is secular is deeply sacred at the roots of its being. This is the poet philosopher of Pakistan.
I'm not sure Farad Shah would agree with him.
That is
No,
a
no,
sentence from his lecture.
You see, you will be surprised to know that I agree with him because it's most accommodative religion. Right from the beginning, I tell you a story that at the time of Prophet, in Medina, there were Jews living there. There were Christians in Najran who were welcomed in his own mosque. They stayed in his mosque. And somebody will question why it's not happening today. I mean, we need to do that. I agree with that.
Okay, well, we're coming towards the end of the first half. What I'm going to do is just ask Ghazala Shafiq to describe her situation. You're a Christian living here, and you've stated very clearly that you're a proud Pakistani, you want to live here. And yet, I was talking to you earlier, and you're having trouble renting an apartment. Tell us what problem you've had renting an apartment.
To be a proud Pakistani does not mean that I don't face problems. You maybe can understand this. For last 25 years, I was living with my children in a very secure atmosphere on a church compound. So the big church just in front of this governor house, well secured, police guards on every gate. So we had never experienced what the general Christians are feeling. Now this is the time, the just last few months we are looking for a house. And recently I myself had to go out with my daughter and meet the landlords. But when they came in interview with me in person, so I said, I'm a pastor and my husband is a pastor, stayed sorry. And my daughter was in tears when we came back. She said, Mama, we are just denied to rent a house because we are Christians. This is the terrible experience I recently experienced. And our girls, Christian girls, are not allowed to use the same washrooms which our Muslim girls are using.
Right, now, so Javed Jabbar, I'm going to sort of ask you about this because we've been trying to assess the success of Pakistan over 70 years, and I presume you would take what we've just heard as a sign of failure, frankly.
This is shameful, what Sister Ghazala has to say. I condemn it. But I also want to say, with respect, look, we are a nation of 200 million people, and non-Muslims constitute about 3% of the population. So in proportion, we have to see this. This is not happening in a rampant way across the country, every Christian being subjected to persecution. It has happened in the Punjab more than in Sindh, and it should be condemned. It's a failure of the state and of society not being able to curb this. But I would stress that 70 years is a blink in the time scale of history. Nations take hundreds of years to evolve. You have religious discrimination and bias in some of the most advanced secular society, and not even in some of the most. Just less than 500 miles from here, in a city called Mumbai, a very famous couple, Muslim, and one of them is not even a practicing Muslim according to him, were refused tenancy in Mumbai because of their religion. Now, if that can happen in a secular state, imagine what will happen, obviously, in societies that brandish their religion on their sleeves. We are a secular society with a title called Islamic Republic. India is a secular state with a highly religious society. So every state evolves itself. Give us 200 or 300 years and we will be in a better position.
But I don't know, from what the way I understand Ghazal Shafiq's story, Reema Abassi, perhaps you can comment, is that this is not a matter of law or the state. This is just landlords and people saying they don't want to rent to a Christian.
Yes, it's very, very sad and hugely condemnable, because for this to happen in this city, which literally embraces anyone from anywhere, takes in the most refugees, and never speaks in languages that are alien to one community and excludes the other. Unfortunately, for this to happen here, you can imagine the level of indoctrination that is now permeating through various ranks. And I raise a question: why have we not touched southern Punjab? And
Okay,
that's where it's all coming from.
So, I mean, just to sort of cut through the short end there, southern Punjab is thought to be the part of Pakistan where a lot of violent jihadists are being trained and educated, and the state hasn't really confronted that problem yet. But we'll get onto these issues in the second half of the programme. We're going to take a short break now, just to remind you that you're listening to NewsHour Extra. If you've got any comments, newshour.extra@bbc.co.uk. You can tweet at bbcnhextra. And if you just tuned in, or you want to hear last week's edition, which was about Hindu nationalism, we recorded that in Delhi, then just get the podcast. That's the BBC NewsHour Extra podcast, 1 hour of discussion on a single topic every week.